Moin! Moin! Welcome back to the channel. It's Mace, back for another video. Hope everybody's doing amazing out there in the big, wide, beautiful world. I'm here on the west coast of Canada, Vancouver Island. A surprising number of you guys, not even that surprising actually, because I used to work in the airlines and I'd always see and bump into Germans on the coming in and out on the airline flights. You know, going quite often. They're going up to do some ecotourism and sightseeing and just exploring, camping, caravanning. And yeah, it was always cool seeing people from around the world come in, not just Germans. But that was one of the things that I liked about working in the airline business is you're always seeing people coming and going. You never know who's going to fly in. I saw Jason Momoa just recently. Jason Momoa, the Aquaman guy, he flew in on our flight and I was like, that's random. And yeah, he was coming in to film a TV show, so it was very cool. This video is about German stereotypes, the Dirndl, humor, and German efficiency. When I think of German stereotypes, like I'm actually at somewhat of a loss for words, and like what some stereotypes. They're not even stereotypes. Like I think of certain things. Like I think about the Autobahn. Bratwurst, I think it was sausages, beer, Oktoberfest, Lederhosen, like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe some stereotypes are like the German language being aggressive or something like that. And people have said that, like, I've been, a few of my pronunciations, it's probably subconsciously saying words a little bit overly aggressive. Maybe aggressive is not even the right word, but just kind of over enunciating things and like saying it when it could be a softer tone, right? What, like yodeling? Is yodeling a German thing? Lederhosen. I'm wondering if maybe a Dirndl is like that classic traditional German outfit that women wear. The one with the blue, like the blue and the brown. With like, I can't describe it right now. If I see it and I'm correct, then I'll be right. Yeah. All right. Beer, sausages, potatoes. What's not to like about that? That's not even a stereotype at all. That's just everybody loves those things. So yeah, let's see what they got for us today.
What generalizations does the rest of the world make about Germany? I've picked out 5 German stereotypes. How much truth is in them and where did they come from? But first of all, which ones annoy Germans the most?
Viele denken, wir würden in Lederhosen rumrennen
A lot of people think we're all running around in the Lederhosen.
und Oktoberfest, Bier trinken.
Dirndl und Lederhosen, das ist ein Klischee, das kann man so nicht nehmen.
Dass die deutsche Sprache so aggressiv wird.
Hey.
Dass die Deutschen keinen Humor haben, also jedes Land hat irgendwie einen eigenen Humor, also das ist Quatsch.
Ein bisschen umständlich, langweilig, das sind wir ja eigentlich nicht.
Romanticized images of Germany often include a woman.
There,
like this.
is that the Dirndl?
This is a Dirndl. And
Dirndl?
the male equivalent is Lederhose, literally leather trousers.
Lederhose?
These types of folk clothing are very specifically linked to the southern state of Bavaria and neighbouring Austria. You might come across people wearing them day to day in Bavaria, but it's most common on special occasions and during festivals like Oktoberfest. The Dirndl is just one example of folk costume in Germany.
She's got a Christmas tree on her head? Please don't take offense. I'm just kidding. But
Like Oktoberfest. The Dirndl is
wait a
just
second.
one example of folk costume
Christmas ornament head dress. Okay.
in Germany.
Is that a Christmas outfit?
Most traditional dress, known as Tracht, started
Tracht.
out as work clothes for peasants. Various aspects of traditional idealized German culture, including Tracht, were later used in Nazi propaganda. The Dirndl even got a bit of a makeover under the Nazi regime. A lower neckline, a slightly shorter skirt, and a tighter waist. The designs seen today vary from very traditional to very modern. And apparently, the position of the apron's bow can indicate relationship status. For example, tied on the right means married or engaged, and on the left means single. The stereotypical image of a German also tends to include a beer in the hand. usually in one of these enormous glasses. In fact, the Maß is another element of Bavarian culture that has somehow come to dominate the image of Germans abroad. Germany actually has an impressive range of glassware, sometimes with a specific glass to go with a specific type of beer, like this Kolsch glass from Cologne.
It's so small. You can't fit enough beer in there.
Of course, not all Germans like beer, but it is an important part of the culture overall, with different beers also connected to regional identities. Traditional brews which follow the rules of the beer purity law still dominate, but the country has seen a boom in craft varieties too. And the popularity of...
Nothing like a good flight of beers, hey? I had a short comment on one of my last videos about, I was asking about like if alcoholism is a big issue, and somebody said, well, Germans typically drink a lot more than, say, Americans, like the amount, but alcoholism is much less of an issue. So that's kind of an interesting dynamic where you can drink often, but it depends whether or not you're controlling your drinking and not drinking to excess. Working in an industry where, like, I work in the law enforcement industry, and just seeing the amount of people who destroy their lives in our society from alcohol, or they don't even destroy their lives, they just create so many issues, and they're often intoxicated, and it's really sad, actually. It's a really, really sad state of affairs. Now, this is a small percentage of people, but it just seems to be not so much of an alcohol thing as much as a societal thing, where alcohol is used as a crutch because there is other underlying issues which are causing these people to gravitate towards things which can give them momentary gratification or just escape their lives, and they're leaning towards instant gratification instead of working hard and diligently to improve their situations. It's kind of like a tool for people who have kind of given up, and they want to escape their problems today, which of course never works. It only magnifies your problems tomorrow. So it's interesting. Non-alcoholic beer, I don't care for it. I would just drink a real beer.
But the country has seen a boom in craft varieties too. And the popularity of non-alcoholic beer shows that the Germans' taste for beer is more than just a thirst for alcohol. Cheers to that.
5 Minuten vor der Zeit ist des Deutschen Pünktlichkeit.
So goes the German saying, which means that punctuality in Germany means arriving 5 minutes early. Well, whoever decided this forgot to tell the trains. It's practically a national sport here to moan about train delays, and after 4 years of commuting, I'm well and truly on board, so to speak. But a lot of German people do pride themselves on being on time, and punctuality is a characteristic you see again and again attributed to the Germans.
I've also had to deal with this in the airline industry, not so much with trains, obviously, but I can make a direct correlation to the airline industry, where if the airline is 20 minutes late, people are complaining and whinging, and it's like, calm down, calm down. You are being transported hundreds, if not thousands of kilometers in a steel metal tube, thousands of feet in the air, whilst sitting in a chair and being served alcoholic drinks. Stop. You're complaining. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna get to your destination maybe 30 minutes later than you would have liked. But why don't you try taking a horse and a wagon next time?
So where did this punctual reputation come from? Let's talk to a time expert.
Die Preußen waren sehr erfolgreich in der Vertaktung von Mensch und Maschine. Die protestantische Ethik, eben der Fleiß, der Gehorsam, die Pünktlichkeit als Tugend, die hat auch viel dazu beigetragen.
Haben die Deutschen allgemein ein gutes Verhältnis zu der Zeit?
Da ist jetzt die spannende Frage, was heißt gut? Deutschland ist der Begriff Zeit häufig mit so einem Muss verbunden. Zeit ist etwas, das kann ich eben organisieren, sparen, in den Griff bekommen. Ich muss sie managen.
That brings us on to the next stereotype, German efficiency, which gets a big thumbs down from me. A dictionary definition of efficient is working or operating quickly and effectively in an organized way. Okay, so the Germans might have the organization part down, but speed and effectiveness, not so much. Did you know it took 632 years to finish building the Cologne Cathedral? A more modern case...
632 years to build that cathedral? That is actually incredible. Think about how many people lived, died in that time span while this thing was being built. That is what I call dedication, and probably why we don't have such beautiful things anymore. But also a good reminder of why we should really try to preserve those things. And also be gracious and have gratitude towards the people that built them, and just have that perspective about it.
Study that brought global visions of German efficiency crashing down was the new BER airport in Berlin, a project plagued with problems from the get-go. It finally opened in 2020, billions of euros over budget and 10 years behind schedule, just in time for the coronavirus to hit, bringing most air traffic to a standstill. Interestingly, it often seems that the Germans' love of precision and planning actually gets in their way. If Germany ever wants to live up to its efficient reputation, it's going to have to break up with bureaucracy. What was it Mark Twain apparently said? A German joke is no laughing matter. Bit harsh, Mark. Personally, I know plenty of funny Germans, and I think most people appreciate good comedy, right? However, what is sometimes missing from the comedic toolbox here is the ability to take things a little less seriously and have a good old laugh at yourself. But don't take my word for it. Let's talk to someone who knows a lot about the German relationship with humour. Gail Tufts is a comedian from the United States who's been in Germany for more than 30 years.
This country is the size of Texas, but it is incredibly regional, and not just with accents, but also with what they eat, what they drink, and when they laugh. The people who come from the Rhineland, they're ready to laugh. They're ready to have a good time. They're the party people of this country. And then the Berliners have seen everything because it is the cultural capital of this country. So they'll all sit back and say, well, tell me about it. And the North Germans are incredibly dry, but really smart. And in the South, there's a warm-heartedness. In Stuttgart, for example, talk about food. You can do a 20-minute monologue about bread. They will be rolling in the aisles in Stuttgart.
So where does the no sense of humor reputation come from?
You have to kind of go back to the Second World War in those glorious, the golden 20s, where there was so much entertainment and so much theater. A lot of the Germans that were involved in that were Jewish. And they were either exterminated and murdered, or they fled to the States. And after the war, of course, things weren't that funny, because where does comedy come from? It comes from my experience, my storytelling. And I think there was an entire generation that it was very difficult to find the humor in anything. Although once the 50s, 60s started, there were some great German comedians. Loriot, for example. In the 90s and the 2000s, all of a sudden comedy clubs started popping up, and mixed shows where there would be 4 different comedians a night. And now you've got a comedian for every taste. Germans do have a sense of humor, and thankfully it's thriving, because in these times we all need a sense of humor.
Comedy and comedians, yeah, they get my admiration, because it's one of the hardest things, I believe, to get up on a stage with a microphone and try to make people laugh. Like, it's very, very, very difficult to do. It's not easy to do. But one of the important things is there can't be, there has to be some restraints, I suppose. But as long as the person is attempting to be funny, if they're trying to be funny, we have to have subjects. There's going to be taboo subjects that are going to be explored. There's going to be satire and parody and I don't know. I don't want to get into that subject too much. It was interesting listening to her comments and her hypothesis for... I don't even really know what her hypothesis is. I don't know if it's more anecdotal about German comedy or the state of German nightclub or comedy clubs and things like that. Like she mentions World War II and like Jewish people leaving as her hypothesis is that led to things not being funny after the war. And of course, obviously the country was like rebuilt. There was after World War II. I don't want to get into that, but yeah. Anyways. Good stuff. I've seen a lot of, yeah.
Mark? I'd love to know how many of these things are part of your image of Germany, and which stereotypes from your country get on your nerves the most. Leave us a comment.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I mean, stereotypes are funny, right? Some stereotypes have truth, whether it be about people that do, like, you can have stereotypes about so many different groups. It doesn't have to be a country. It can be people that play tennis. It can be ice hockey goaltenders. You know, there's stereotypes about ice hockey goaltenders because they're superstitious and weird. There's stereotypes about every single imaginable group of people. And sometimes they're true, right? Like, stereotypes don't have to be bad. They're just what they are. There's definitely stereotypes about hockey players, and stereotypes about Canadians, and stereotypes about Europeans, and stereotypes about Germans, and stereotypes about everybody. Everybody. Isn't like a stereotype like the blonde hair, blue-eyed. Even in like we just watched the new Indiana Jones movie the other night, and doesn't he say like a bunch of blonde-haired, blue-eyed boys followed this little Pied Piper, and he's talking about Hitler or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. It's out of my purview, out of my depth. All right, ciao, tschüss, see you.